All right, my friends, this is Steve with Real Progressives. Tonight is the talk of the job guarantee, basic income, and paid family and medical leave. Why do we have those three bundled together? Let me talk about that. So we hear a lot of people that have been swept away by the Zuckerbergs of the world, and quite frankly, the Koch brothers and, Milton Friedman and his negative income tax, et cetera, that want a basic income. A basic income, right? One could look at Social Security, in fact, as a basic income. Could we not? I think we could. During the 2016 campaign, actually 2015, Bernie Sanders campaigned long and hard on expanding Social Security. What does expanding Social Security mean? Let's talk about that. Expanding Social Security might be providing cost of living increases that have been abdicated for the last 20 years. It may also be expanding who is eligible for Social Security. It also could include expanding and lowering the requirements for folks who are disabled and are really unable to work in a comfortable way. Okay. So we could expand Social Security and disability and provide cost of living increases to match what Social Security should have always done. And we already have in existence today a basic income. The basic income advocates are not advocating for a living wage basic income because that, first of all, that would be incredibly stupid. It would be inflationary. And on top of that, it would absolutely destroy the economy. You may not understand that, but we'll get to that in a moment. The next thing is a federal job guarantee. What is a federal job guarantee? A federal job guarantee is, in fact, a job guarantee, a guarantee to have a job. Why should the federal government be the one to guarantee us a job? Well, the federal government, when it imposed its first tax, created its first unemployed person. Because in order to get the tax to pay the tax, you had to have money in hand. In order to have money in hand, you had to have a job to get money. Because back then, the US dollar was not just hanging out. It had to be spent into existence. And the only way it was going to be spent into existence is for somebody to do something for that piece of paper. All right. So we hear a lot of people fighting about, no, we got to have a UBI. UBI stands for Universal Basic Income. In other words, every man, woman, and child gets a universal basic income. Everybody gets a basic income. No production required, no nothing. Well, for those of us who understand economics, the idea of shoving money into the system without having corresponding production to meet demand is inherently one of the conditions that creates inflation. And we're not talking about the small inflation. We're talking about significant inflation. We're talking about status quo. A universal basic income provides no real protections whatsoever. Just like a school voucher doesn't provide anyone an actual protection to go to a school. What happens if everyone gets a school voucher? Then the people with money can simply put on more money on top and ensure that their kids go to the best schools. And once again, the worst schools still get the poorest kids, and the poorest kids still end up screwed. Status quo. Basic income, status quo. Universal basic income, status quo. So why is a job guarantee so important? Let's talk about that. For those of you who have been unemployed before, you understand how difficult it is to get reemployed. Employers like hiring people that are employed. They don't like hiring people that are unemployed. They don't know the conditions that person's under. They don't know whether they're a drug addict. They don't know whether they smell bad. They don't know whether they take care of their hair. They don't know whether they do a good job or don't do a good job. They have no idea why they're sitting there unemployed on the bench. A federal job guarantee allows people, not forced, but voluntarily, provides them with a guaranteed job to serve their local community no matter what. So a person at any given time would have a wage. We have to set this. There's many different competing thoughts, but none of them that don't guarantee a job for everyone that wants one are an actual job guarantee. Cory Booker is not offering a job guarantee. He's offering a pilot, and it's garbage. Ro Khanna is not offering a job guarantee. He's offering something like the ACA, which is very neoliberal, and I'm not interested in it. But the good people from Levy Institute and, folks like Pavlina Trineva, Real Progressive's own Fidel Kaboub, individuals like that, Warren Mosler, Bill Mitchell, Stephanie Kelton, Scott Fulwiler, Matt Forstater, you name it. They're all fighting for a federal job guarantee. The guys at the Modern Money Network, Raul Carrillo, and you've got Rohan Gray, you've got Nathan Tankus. They are all fighting tooth and nail for a job guarantee. Why is that? Not only does a job guarantee set the floor for all private sector hiring, forget a minimum wage. You now set the benefit package and the wage floor from which all private sectors have to meet or beat to get employment. If they automate things, those low-level jobs that they automate, it doesn't matter. We've got a federal job guarantee waiting for those people to roll off of those garbage jobs and move into serving their local communities. 45,000 people a year commit suicide as a result of joblessness. Even with a basic income like Social Security in existence, 45,000 people a year commit suicide from joblessness. Most people want a job. Most people would like to do work that is fulfilling, not make work, not pushing paper one side of the desk to the other, but actually serving one another. Federal job guarantee allows for that kind of work. It allows local communities to decide what they would like to compensate. The feds would fund it. The local communities would administer it. The local communities would vote and decide what roles and jobs they want. Now, that's one version of it. Another version of it is that, possibly pay people that work in nonprofits through a federal job guarantee. That's a pretty nice deal. So regardless, Social Security could serve as a basic income. And if we all agree that Social Security already is a basic income, then we don't need to fight for a basic income. We need to fight to expand Social Security. But it's most important that we fight for a federal job guarantee. Number one, by setting a federal job guarantee, for those of you who do not understand what an automatic stabilizer is, what we're doing is we're providing a buffer stock for the employment pool of employed people, a buffer stock like we do with everything else. Right now, we have a buffer stock of unemployed people or underemployed people. But a federal job guarantee allows people mobility. It allows people to pick up and leave really, really awful situations and go somewhere where they are wanted or where they want to be. By allowing people to tell us that automation's going to kill work, number one, they're literally lying. Because the wagon wheel maker back in the 1800s probably thought when the rubber tire came around that that was the end of everything, okay? And I'm sure that the horse and buggy was really, really upset when they came up with the airplane. And I'm sure that the train was upset when we came up with high-speed rail and when we came up with helicopters and everything else. And I'm sure that the Pony Express was really upset when we came up with the actual post office and then email. I'm sure they lost their minds when we had an internet. And I'm sure Captain Kirk still works every day on the Enterprise, just like Scotty and Bones do. Okay? So we're going to get past those lies, and we're going to start talking about what happens if automation does wipe out some of these lower level jobs. Service work is still work that regular people should do and want to do. Do you want your granny in an old age home taken care of by Freddy 3572, the android? Or do you want Freddy to actually have a human being that cares and sits there and takes care of her? Now, I can tell you this, most people want a human being to handle care work. Most people want to actually be useful and serve their community. So why would we continue to say that there be no work? Is it possible that there is a saboteur of our society out there that's trying to infect our minds with this? I believe so. There's no evidence whatsoever other than people preaching a gospel of automation that show any productivity gains that would show that automation is wiping out jobs. And even if those low-level jobs are gone, the jobs of tomorrow haven't even been thought of. We have a deficit of imagination, and the needs that we have are completely and utterly trapped in an old world paradigm where we don't consider a possible new future. Quite frankly, it's damning on our imaginations and what we could do. It is a roadblock to progress. So let's blow past that and let's talk for a moment about paid family and medical leave. For those of you out there who have children that perhaps are disabled or special needs, many times employers are in no way, shape, or form very, very considerate for you. They might give you a day off. They might let you work from home. But ultimately, they're cracking their whip. They're wondering why, in fact, you have not done your job perfectly. Why, in fact, you seem distracted. Why are you not 100% here? Well, if you keep your focus, next time you'll have a better job. Maybe you could do a better job if you keep your focus. But when you have a child that requires total care around the clock, and you wake up throughout the night, and you have to take care of that child everywhere, and you have to take them to therapy during times where the workers need to be at work. Now what? What do you do? What do you do with a boss or bosses that otherwise, without something forcing them to let you take care of your kids and get paid so you don't have to go to debt because your family has a child that has needs? Now what? Paid family and medical leave is absolutely vital. The job guarantee is vital. And expanding Social Security to handle the disabled with a whole lot less hoops to jump through is absolutely vital. So how many of you wonder, the people that say we should have a basic income or expand a basic income, many of them have no idea how they would ever pay for such a program. Many of them, every time we talk about it, would say, well, we got to raise taxes. We got to do all kinds of stuff. Well, as we here at Real Progressives know, that's not how the monetary system works. In fact, the false notion that many people that want a UBI have about taxes and so forth is absolutely blocking expansion of Social Security and blocking a federal job guarantee and blocking paid family and medical leave. Should we blame the establishment for our own unwillingness to understand economics? I don't think so. I think that's a get out of jail free card. I think that's the progressive give up strategy. I think that is you making an excuse for not doing the hard work and learning. So I want to bring up a few pictures to help us get through the next part of this discussion. So, this right here is David Sirota. For those of you who know David Sirota occasionally gets things right. Sometimes he doesn't get things right. But here was a really neat tweet right here. And it says, the economic theory of America seems to be that if people don't have to fear losing their job or healthcare job and ability to pay rent, they'll become lazy. And so we make most people fear those things by drowning everyone in debt and not having I don't know what you and I guess universal health care, a job guarantee, and good wages. I think this is a really, really eye-opening thing. Sadly, poor David doesn't understand economics either, because if you asked him what modern monetary theory was, and if you asked him how to actually get through the federal finance part of this, he would talk about raising taxes. He would talk about other nonsense. But I'm going to show you something from Pavlina Cherneva that is one of my favorite tweets of all times. Stephanie Kelton says, "This is why I have zero patience for Robin Hood politics. The sick, poor, and planet wait while you chase gold coins in a fiat world." If you don't understand what that means, let me tell you what that means. Chasing gold coins in a fiat world, when we already make our money out of keystrokes, which we could save lives today, but yet people choose not to listen. Why do you think that is? I don't care if they like the gold standard or not. We haven't been on the gold standard since 1971. Why would someone say something so uninformed? Why would people in the Green Party, for example, run around talking about the national debt or having to pay their fair share and having to raise taxes to pay for programs? Why would Democrats do such evil? We know the Republicans are going to continue doing it because they want to kill government. They want to make government small, weak, and impotent so they can go ahead and privatize everything. But why would you think the Green Party would do the same right-wing things? Their national platform, Section M, is full of right-wing gibberish about the national debt. Why do you think the Democrats are constantly trying to reduce the deficit? Why do you think people don't get this? It's so simple. It's ridiculous. It really is. I think that I see Guillaume Mamoun out there, and Guillaume is absolutely right. Everybody in the Green Party isn't clueless. But sadly, the vast majority of their delegates really are. They just shot down a bill that would have fixed their national platform and made them useful. And instead, the overwhelming majority of the delegates chose to destroy the chance of a Green New Deal. That's a damn shame, isn't it? That's a real damn shame. So I'm going to show you something else too here. And I want you to think about this, okay? Some of these memes that I'm showing you, I believe, are really, really important. And now I hope you'll think they're important too. But this one right here is from Stephanie Kelton as well. She goes, "Imagine if FDR had succeeded in getting the Second Bill of Rights entrenched as vital protections afforded to every American." Look at this. This is what real progressive stands for. But instead, when I listen to these other parties, third parties, you name it, they're all wrapped up in conspiracy gibberish. They want to end the Fed. They don't even know what the damn Fed does. And it's shameful when you put them on the spot and ask them what it does, they can't answer. If a party and their leadership tells you they're going to end the Fed and they can't answer basic questions about what the debt is, if they try and make you scared of it, do not follow that party. Do not follow those people. They're not worth your time. They have literally destroyed our children's lives by slow playing the help that we could give to our children. Are they evil? Maybe some of them are, but most of them are just clueless and need to be informed. Now, I'm going to show you some more stuff too. I want you to look at this while I'm talking about this. Please take a look at this meme. I really think it's important that we absorb this stuff into our brains. You know, I mean, to me, I think that every time we get to this point, what ends up happening is that people stop talking about it. They lose focus. They start getting sidetracked with cute memes and fun posts and stuff like that. And I don't understand it. Maybe you do, but I don't. And I refuse to understand it. In fact, I quite frankly have very little respect for the people that get sidetracked with this gibberish because, you know, I have needs. You have needs. We all have needs. We claim we care about the planet. We claim claim we care about life. We claim we care about healthcare. We claim we care about a job guarantee. And we don't want to sit there and watch people hanging themselves because of financial destitution. Yet we'll sit there and get sidetracked with Donald Trump's comb over. How many of you all feel that makes someone part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution? I think it does. I think it makes them literally part of the problem. And they want to bring down the duopoly? What? So that they can come in there and talk about a comb over? Really? So I want you to look at this one right here. To me, if you don't get this slide right here, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to understand how we can do great things, how we can do FDR's second Bill of Rights, how we can get a national health service. Forget Medicare for all. Medicare for all is weak sauce compared to what we could actually afford. I mean, look at this. This is a pretty awesome meme, isn't it? I mean, this tells you straight up. I don't, can you all help me understand why this is not widespread knowledge? Can you all help me understand why the Green Party doesn't adopt this in spades? This is truth. This isn't ideological. Why doesn't the Democratic Party stand up on its feet and scream at the top of their lungs? Why don't the Justice Dems do this? Really, why? Ask yourself why. Is it our problem? Is it we're the problem? Do we not know any better so they don't tell us the truth and it keeps the cycle going? Is that the problem? I think it might be. Now, I want you to know something. This is the other problem. A lot of folks will come back and they'll say, yeah, but if we just print more money, we're going to have hyperinflation and we're going to have all these problems. And Steve, you just don't understand, man. Let me tell you something right up front. Taxes are what gives our currency its value. Taxes are what drives our economy. You know, the Confederacy lost the ability to tax in their own little fake pieces of paper currency. You know, everybody talks about fake money and so forth. Well, the Confederacy lost its ability to tax. And so that's why the Confederacy had a hyperinflation. You know, what about Weimar Germany? You hear every knucklehead under the sun talking about, what do you want to do? Print more money? What about Weimar Republic? They think they're so cool. Doesn't that drive you crazy? They come in kind of like an edgy libertarian. Dude, like, I mean, like, sure, man. Like, what are you going to do? Print more money or something, man? Well, they don't realize that the reason why Weimar Germany had a hyperinflation was because, number one, they were crushed by the Treaty of Versailles. Their manufacturing capability was destroyed, and they had debt denominated in French francs, not in German Reichsmarks, but French francs. The French tried to do that to us too. They tried to redeem all their US dollars into gold. And that's kind of what took us off of the international Bretton Woods gold standards when the French tried to screw with us. Okay. So this right here, the next one, bottom line is Weimar had nothing to do with printing money. You hear anybody say that? Literally, you know you're in the presence of someone who does not understand economics and should not be asked for advice under any circumstances. The next one, severe shortage of goods, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, right? This is the favorite of the modern knucklehead. You know, it's like if we were sitting there doing one of those old cartoons, here is the modern home of whatever, you know, the Looney Tunes type thing. Here is the modern look of the knucklehead, the Zimbabwe, Venezuela dude, right? Well, let's talk about Zimbabwe for a minute. I talk about this a lot because this is what we hear a lot. Mugabe, who was their leader, in a bid to try and give back the land to the African black Zimbabweans, took away the farms from the white farmers and gave them to the people. Sounds good and noble on the surface. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it wasn't well planned for. And the Zimbabwe natives did not understand how to farm. The productive capacity of those farms was decimated. I mean, absolutely decimated. So they could not feed their people. It didn't matter if you had a wheelbarrow of cash. You weren't going to feed them. Why do you think people bring up Zimbabwe as if printing money is the problem? Do you think they don't understand this? Do you think they don't know the circumstances? Do you think they hate humanity? Do you think they just, what do you think it is? Are they evil or are they just ignorant? I'm going to go with ignorant for now. But after a while of saying this so many times, I kind of get the feeling that people need to start seeing the light bulbs go on. Because I don't really like to give people too many passes because people literally are dying over the ignorance. And if ignorance kills and you choose to avoid knowledge, where does that leave us? You think about it for a minute. And the last one, not debt in domestic currency or normal government services. Did you hear that? The common causes of hyperflation are not debt in domestic currency. In other words, the currency issuer can never go broke on debt denominated in US dollars or Japanese yen or British pounds or Australian dollars. Folks, could I be any more clear? Is there any excuse at this point that anyone should be able to say otherwise? Do you feel at some point in time people are being obtuse, intentionally sabotaging progress? I think you got to think about that for just a few minutes. I think we got to think about that for a few minutes. So I'm going to talk one more time here real quickly about something I consider to be very important. So Margaret Thatcher, you know Margaret Thatcher, biggest neoliberal of them all next to Reagan and Friedman and others. But Stephanie Kelton says, Thatcher's dictum. Think about why Thatcher's sought to rule out the idea that public money exists and could be deployed in the public interest. Think about this. Now ask yourself why Democrats would accept this framing. Why would anyone accept this framing that taxpayer dollars are the only dollars that exist? Why would you allow someone to say that and not really get red in the face and veins going down your forehead knowing your kids are suffering for that ignorance? I mean, seriously. I want you to think about that for a minute. Think about it long and hard. I'm going to keep this up for a second because I think it's incredibly important. Incredibly important. Because this next slide I'm going to show you is very, very personal to me. And when it comes down to paid family and medical leave, the public money can take care of that. When it comes to expanding Social Security and expanding disability, the public money can take care of it. So let's look at this next one. That picture right there is my son. My son has autism. Autism is one of the fastest growing conditions, period, full stop. For those of you who do not know what it's like to live with autism, it's an incredible amount of work. Employers don't really care. They don't want to hear about your private issues. They want you to compartmentalize that and leave that at home. They don't want to know about your troubles. They don't want to know about your woes. They don't want to realize that you had to wake up at the butt crack of dawn deal with a child flopping on the floor and banging their head and making it busted. Deal with them kicking you and hitting you because they're frustrated and they don't know how to speak and they can't quite figure out how to deal with their surroundings. Employers don't want to hear it. They don't care. We need to make them care. Paid family and medical leave. A federal job guarantee to tell them to go screw themselves if they try and mess with you. And you know what? For families that need to take care of a child like this, we need to make it so that they don't have to become paupers, that we can provide them with a living wage, with a subsidy of some sort for taking care of their child. Yes, that is work, and it's work we value in this society. Why in the world will we allow someone to detract from that and talk about what about inflation? What about this? What about hyperinflation? What about wealth? Hey, you're not creating real wealth. That's only paper. Why would we let them get away with saying something like that? I mean, seriously, there are fights out there that are happening every day on social media. There are fights happening in the news. There are fights happening at town halls. None of them, I mean, literally almost none of them are fights I would pick. They're all secondary, tertiary fights that have nothing whatsoever to do with anything of value. They're fights that are like sidelining fights that bleed energy out of a movement that could really, really do some wonderful things if we chose to. I mean, look at this. If you all realize that we could provide families with tons of relief, if you knew the stress, if you knew the overwhelming despair, and as hope is yanked from you each time, and you have to go to work and grind it out and then come home to a child that you basically had to farm out because there's no centers out there, no real centers out there that are built for sensory disorders. You start realizing how personal this war of economics is, and you start looking at people a little bit differently when they're standing between your child getting health care and your family being able to have the freedom to tend to them properly. And you look at these people that stand in the way, and it's hard not to see them as your enemy, isn't it? It's hard not to see them as the enemy. It's hard. It's very hard. Now, I want you to take a moment and consider this. For 3 years, Real Progressives has talked about modern monetary theory. For 3 years, we have dealt with more abuse, more trolling, more nastiness, more disgusting doxing, smear campaigns, all kinds of ridiculous, just mindless drivel that sidelines an entire effort. That's just Real Progressives. MMT has been around for an awful long time. We didn't create it. We didn't invent it. We're just here trying to take a very important subject that is normally carried at the academic level to politicians, to local practitioners, to activists, to voters, to families, to help them dream a bigger dream, to help them understand the possibilities, and to give them the strength and conviction to stand and not quiver and not waver. Do you know today there was a post in a group, and I'm not going to get into the group because I'm not going to elevate this garbage. But they were already asking, will you vote blue no matter who in the coming elections? Or will you only vote for progressives? You're going to find this one tough to believe, but I'm only going to really support MMT progressives. Folks that don't understand how the finance system works, they're useless. They're part of the problem. They're an impediment to my child. They're an impediment to all of our lives. Everyone that doesn't understand MMT is an impediment to progress. They have a choice. They can learn it. It's not like it's some secret, knowledge locked away in some ivory tower. It's accessible for regular people. There's literally no excuse for not figuring this stuff out. A nation that creates its own money can never go broke. When they talk about us being broke, they are lying. Let me say that again. For people that say that the nation is broke, they are lying. Lying. They're not wrong. They're lying. They're economic terrorists. And I can't support an economic terrorist because everything you care for, from the job guarantee to a basic income to expanded Social Security, to paid family and medical leave, to a national health service, to free college, to student debt relief, to green energy, to a job guarantee, to infrastructure, you name it. It all can be done, but it can't be as long as people keep thinking they got to chase tax dollars to fund initiatives. It's cruel, it's wicked, and it hurts the poor, and it hurts these children. Chasing tax dollars for pay-fors is why we don't have green energy to prevent wars for oil. Oh, I only support the anti-war folk. Anti-war doesn't just mean anti-war. It means the things that you need to do to prevent needing oil, you must do. In order to do that, you must know economics. We can subsidize actual investments in green energy. To hell with it. Let's get it done. Our planet doesn't have time. Our kids don't have time. And I'm tired of people dying for oil. I'm tired of people fetishizing commodities from the ground. There. That's for you gold bugs out there. I'm tired of you. I'm about life. And I want people to get serious about fighting for life. And I want people to start seeing the tie-in to economics so that they're effective in fighting for the things that they care about. We can't have a movement if progressives are saying, well, you got to vote for her. She's a real progressive. What makes her a real progressive? Well, she wants to tax the rich and she wants to this, she wants to that. I don't have anything against taxing the rich. But don't you dare put your fetish for taxing the rich ahead of saving lives today with Medicare for all, with a job guarantee. Taxing the rich deletes a lot of money out of the rich people's pockets, but it does not in any way, shape, or form help a poor person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is this crystal freaking clear? It should be. I don't think I've stuttered, and I do believe I've laid this out with all these memes for easy access. So there's not a question of, did he say that? Yeah, it's right there in the meme. Economics is the key to everything that we want or need. Publicly funded elections, how are you going to pay for it? A national day off for voters, how are you going to pay for it? Free college, how are you going to pay for it? Infrastructure, how are you going to pay for it? 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 One answer and one answer only. Congress will authorize the spending. That's it. The money will come to be, and that's it. That's enough. That's all she freaking wrote. That's how money is spent into existence. If you don't understand how a fiat system works, please don't tell me I'm wrong until you've done your homework. If you read Mises or some other silly trader thing for bond trader guys and stuff like that, who want you to keep thinking bonds are this important thing because they make their money doing that, don't come back to me. I've already been that trail. I don't need any more nonsense. If you want to learn, come on back, man. We'll have all day long to talk. You want to try and fight with me about bonds? Keep on going. There's plenty of people out there that are incorrect. You can hang out with the homies. Y'all go do your thing. You want to learn? You want to change the world? Come on right back here. We'll work with you. Expanded Social Security, COLAs, disability insurance, right there. Boom. There's your basic income. We don't need a universal basic income. There's your basic income. Eliminate involuntary unemployment. Peg the economy to the job standard. Provide a living wage with living benefits. Set the bar. Provide a buffer stock of employed workers. And end generational poverty. Provide mobility. And provide a job to everyone that wants one. Take a huge dent out of the 45,000 suicides a year committed from unemployment. And free us up from fears of automation taking these low-wage jobs. And let's move right along. And then the last thing is paid family and medical leave. We can do it. We need to do it. Families are desperate for it. And we need to provide a safe zone for people with children with disabilities. And we need to provide a job guarantee for those parents that want to take care of their autistic children and otherwise disabled children, or just parents that genuinely need to be with their kids. There's absolutely no reason that we can't serve our local communities. There's tons of work. Look in your community. If you tell me your community looks perfect, everything's just perfect, then you don't need a job guarantee, right? But if you can't say that, then you need to back that truck up and you need to start waking up, because we need to end involuntary unemployment forever. I'm Steve Grumbine. I'm with Real Progressives. If you like what you heard today, if you don't like what you heard today and you want to learn more, come on back. We'll keep bringing it. If you did like what we're doing and you'd like to help out, we always need volunteers, video makers, video editors, graphic artists, writers, project managers, business analysts. We need you all. We need everybody. And if for some reason you would like to support us financially, all the things that we do cost money. Most of it's coming straight out of our own pockets. For those people who are already patrons, let me tell you something. I learned how to use our Patreon site. I'm going to start making good on the letters that I promised and the call outs that I promised. It's terrible, but we just really learned how to use it. So for those of you who have been contributing, you have my apologies for not being a better steward of our Patreon account. For those of you who have never donated to us, let me tell you, we're trying to take a bunch of people to New York City at the end of September for the Modern Money Conference. We're there to network and to build coalitions so that we can advance this knowledge even further. We serve a vital cog as a media wing for this movement. We also would like to provide an activism wing and a policy wing and, quite frankly, an education wing. We need the support, both the boots on the ground, the hands on the keyboards, but we also need the digits in the bank account. If you can donate to us one time, we have a PayPal. If you can donate to us monthly, which would be fantastic. No amount is too small, but we would really, really like and need your support. This work here is not just some Facebook world. We're going well beyond this. We have a YouTube channel. We desperately need your support there as well. We are on Twitter. Please follow us there also. In the meantime, we have a sign-up link on our page, the page that you're watching this video from. Please click on it, sign up, so that we can get you engaged and helping out Real Progressives. I can't wait to do a formal announcement of our board of directors. We're in the process of creating a 501c3 and a 501c4. The board of directors, the names are really exciting. I mean, I'm telling you, I've dropped the hints in different times, but when you hear about it, we have great power backing us, and we will be able to do great things. So please stick with us. I'm Steve Crumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day, everybody.